Welcome to the Mellow Vineyard.
Oh, well, fabulous.
And there's a hat.
Perfect.
And a hat.
Oh my God, that's two in a row.
And a hat for you, and I've got cards. I got everything here.
You're prepared.
For those that I did not introduce myself to, I'm Michael Neal. I'm owner of my own company, Viticultural Services. And this is the vineyard that I've been involved with for quite a few years, since 2003. Actually, I was involved with it much before that, helping the previous manager out with harvest and stuff like that. But I was able to take over the management, which means doing everything, calling the shots, doing the operations when it's timely within the vineyard. So just a brief history. This vineyard actually had a vine every 4 feet, and there was one there and all the way down these rows, and it was Pinot Noir. And at the time, Pinot Noir was okay for this site. But as consumers' tastes change, and there's not a need for mid-valley Pinot Noir, and this was a very heavy producing vineyard, what I mean is in excess of 6 tons to the acre, it does not make great Pinot Noir. You can make Pinot Noir Blanc, you can make Beaujolais, whatever the French do with their Beaujolais, and that's what the program was designate, or for sparkling wine. So after not being able to sell the crop in 03 and having a difficult time in 04, I convinced the owner, to convert the vineyard. What I mean by converting is we eliminated the vines that were on AXR because they were going to get phylloxerated, but we took and cut the vines off about this far down here, as you see, and we put on Sauvignon Blanc. And we basically lost the crop in 04 and had almost a full crop in 05, so we were not out a lot. But also, as Russ said, a VSP, this vineyard was a VSP, meaning vertical shoot position vineyard. Everything was kind of funneled up. I know because of the rootstock and the Sauvignon Blanc, it's very vigorous, that it needed more room to grow. So we opted for what we call the open layer system. Split that canopy. I could not physically, it cost a lot of money to interplant, if you will, but this was still expensive to adapt a trellis system, but it gives us flexibility, allows the vines to grow. So that's what happened here in a nutshell. Now, what I was going to say is, when we're putting in a new vineyard or working with a vineyard, there's a lot of elements that we all we need to know as managers what we're going to do. One is the soils. We need to find out what the soils are capable of doing, and how deep, how much nutrient, and how much water holding capacity, and all the things that go on with the soils. The other is we need to know our climate. We need to know that this is not a Cabernet Sauvignon site, because this is mid-valley, very deep, fertile soils. Cabernet will not do very well here. It will grow, bar none, but it's like the Pinot Noir side. It will not be a successful variety on this site unless you want to make vin ordinaire, as I call it. So that's some of the things. The trellis, we have to match the trellis to our site, to our rootstock, to our variety and clones. And that's the other thing I forgot to mention early on, that we put in 4 different clones of Sauvignon Blanc out here, meaning there's a little bit of distinct differences between the Sauvignon Blanc. It's all Sauvignon Blanc, but there's some distinct differences within those 4 selections, and one of those is Sauvignon Muscat, which gives us that muscat flavor. And I think that's been very successful. But also we have to know what our water is. So this vineyard, because it's very prone to frost, and I'm looking for a sprinkler, but that's okay, is sprinkler frost protected, as well as we can irrigate with the drip system. But again, knowing that the soils are very deep, very fertile, and held a lot of water, we very rarely irrigate, so it's virtually a dry farmed vineyard. The other part of my success here is that we have a permanent cover crop. What you're standing on has been here for about 6 years now. It's a grass culture. It absorbs the moisture from the soil, so we have less competition with the vines, with water and nutrients. In other words, with all this rain, you guys, a lot of questions were asked about the rainfall. What's it doing? This cover crop is like a sponge. It's actually wicking up the water that's coming from the sky, if you will, and pulling it out of the system so that these vines have actually a better chance of growing. We are about 2 weeks behind normal, whatever normal is anymore, and that is mainly because of the cool weather. We're not even at bloom. I saw a few clusters back over there that are just starting to bloom. Here's one right here. This is the first stage of bloom. They have the asexual components in here, so we don't need to have anybody or any manipulation on that.